The Meridian Deep Space Monitoring Station had stood sentinel at the edge of Centaurian space for over 3 centuries. Its crystalline arrays captured whispers from the cosmos, searching for signs of intelligent life among the endless static of stars. In all that time, it had never detected anything quite like this. Administrator Valen, you need to hear this. Senior Analyst Kirish's normally melodic voice carried an edge of urgency that made Valen's peripheral sensors bristle. The administrator glided across the observation deck, bioluminescent patterns flickering with concern across their translucent skin. The signal playback filled the chamber, a desperate chorus of voices speaking in dozens of languages. But beneath them all ran a single thread: fear, pure, primal fear that transcended species and culture. Valen's inner chambers constricted as the meaning became clear. The Void Hunters had returned. For millennia, the Centaurians had preserved the histories of 100 fallen civilizations, each one destroyed by the same predators. The Void Hunters emerged from the darkness between stars, consuming entire worlds and leaving only silence in their wake. Now they had found new prey, and the hunters' victims were crying out for help. But this time, something was different. Mixed among the pandemonium of desperate pleas was something the Void Hunters had never encountered before: human voices. The humans were not begging for salvation. They were organizing, coordinating. Their transmissions carried steel rather than terror, determination instead of despair. All civilian vessels proceed to emergency coordinates. Military assets form up on rally points. We will not abandon our people. Valen's species had evolved to perceive temporal patterns that most races could not. As they studied the interwoven signals, they saw something extraordinary. The humans were not just fighting back. They were winning. Not through superior technology or overwhelming numbers, but through sheer unstoppable will. Analysis complete, Kirisha announced, their voice trembling with excitement. The human vessels are employing tactics we've never seen before. They're using the Void Hunters' own hunting patterns against them, turning their predatory instincts into a weakness. Valen watched in fascination as the data streams painted a picture of the battle. Human ships darting between their massive adversaries, drawing them into carefully planned kill zones. Smaller craft sacrificing themselves to protect civilian evacuations. Every loss seemed to only fuel their determination. The administrator made a decision that would reshape the galaxy. Prepare a first contact package. If these humans can stand against the Void Hunters, we need their help. The Centaurian Assembly has watched from the shadows for too long while worlds burned. It's time we join the fight. Across the vast expanse of space, humanity's resistance had kindled something that the Void Hunters had never faced before: hope. Species that had hidden in fear for generations began to emerge, drawn to the light of Earth's defiance. The hunters were about to become the hunted. But first contact would have to wait. As Valen's team prepared their diplomatic mission, a new signal cut through the noise, a distress call from a world that had only just achieved faster-than-light travel. The Void Hunters had found fresh prey, and this time, Earth's defenders were too far away to help. The Centaurians faced a choice: maintain their millennia of isolation, or reach out to these remarkable humans and join their fight. Valen knew the decision would change everything, but the alternative was to watch another civilization fall into silence. Send the message, Valen commanded. Tell them everything. About our history, about the worlds we failed to save, about the pattern we've observed, and tell them we're ready to stand with them. As the transmission left the Meridian station, Valen felt the weight of centuries lifting. Their people had been observers for too long, cataloging extinction after extinction. Now they would become participants in history, thanks to the species that dared to fight back against the darkness. The message traveled across the void, carrying with it the hopes of countless worlds. Humanity's response would determine not just the fate of one endangered civilization, but the future of all those who had lived in fear of the hunters. The galaxy held its breath, waiting to see if Earth's warriors would answer the call. In the darkness between stars, The Void Hunters continued their eternal hunt, unaware that everything was about to change. They had ruled through fear for eons, but they were about to learn that fear had limits. Hope, determination, and the unbreakable human spirit did not. Admiral Sarah Chen stood before the United Earth Defense Council, her weathered face illuminated by the holographic display of the Centaurian message. The chamber was silent as the implications of first contact settled over the assembled leaders like a heavy shroud. Let me be clear. Chen's voice carried the weight of someone who had seen too many battles. While we've been celebrating our victories against the Void Hunters, entire civilizations have been falling. The Centaurians have documented the extinction of species we never even knew existed. The council chamber erupted in heated discussion. Some voiced outrage at the Centaurians' centuries of inaction, while others argued for immediate intervention. But Lieutenant Commander Marcus Rodriguez, Earth's leading genopsychologist, raised a point that silenced the room. The Centaurians aren't warriors, he explained, manipulating the holographic data with practiced ease. They're archivists, witnesses. Their entire society evolved around preserving the memory of the lost. They're reaching out now because we showed them another way was possible. In orbit above Earth, the newly commissioned UES Defiant prepared for its mission. Captain Diana Wells watched her crew work with precision, born from countless battles against the Void Hunters. But this time was different. They weren't just defending their home. They were about to become humanity's first ambassadors to a galaxy that had lived in terror. The ship's AI, Araya, interrupted Wells' thoughts. Captain, new data packet from Centaurian space. The colony they warned us about. It's called Haven's Rest. Population 3 million. They achieved FTL travel just 6 months ago. Wells felt her jaw tighten. Haven's Rest reminded her too much of Earth's own early days of space exploration, before they knew what horrors lurked in the void. How long do they have? Based on previous hunting patterns, less than 72 hours. The captain made her decision. Protocol demanded they wait for the Council's authorization, establish proper first contact procedures with the Centaurians, and carefully evaluate the tactical situation. But Haven's Rest didn't have time for protocol. Signal the rest of the task force, Wells ordered. We're going in. Back in the council chamber, Admiral Chen received the news of the Defiant's departure with a mix of pride and concern. Captain Wells had just violated a dozen regulations, but she'd also done exactly what Chen would have done in her position. The Defiant's actions have forced our hand, Chen addressed the council. But perhaps that's what we needed. We've spent months fighting the Void Hunters in our territory, telling ourselves it was enough. Now we know better. The council's deliberations were interrupted by a direct transmission from the Meridian station. Valen's translucent form materialized in the chamber, their bioluminescence patterns conveying both urgency and hope. Your Captain Wells, the Centaurian administrator began. She's done something unprecedented. The moment our people learned of the Defiant's mission, volunteers began coming forward. Ships that have hidden in the shadows for generations are emerging, offering to join your fleet. Chen leaned forward, intrigued. I thought your people weren't warriors. We're not. Valen's patterns shifted to something like determination. But you've shown us that being peaceful doesn't mean we must be passive. The Void Hunter's power has always been fear. Now that fear is breaking. The Admiral turned to the Council, her decision made. The Defiant Task Force can't save Haven's Rest alone. But with the combined strength of humanity and these emerging allies, we might not just save one world. We might finally end the Void Hunters' reign of terror. As the Council voted to mobilize Earth's full military might, Chen couldn't help but reflect on the irony. Humanity had spent centuries looking to the stars, hoping to find advanced civilizations that would guide them. Instead, they had become the guides, teaching the galaxy that there was another option besides hiding in fear. The price of that pride would be paid in blood and sacrifice, but it was a price humanity had always been willing to pay. As ships began launching from ports across Earth, Chen knew that the real war was just beginning. The Void Hunters had ruled through terror for millennia, But they had never faced an enemy like humanity, a species that didn't just fight for survival, but for something greater. Hope was spreading across the stars like wildfire, and not even the darkness between worlds could extinguish it now. Captain Diana Wells watched as Haven's Rest grew larger on the Defiant's main viewport. The planet's twin moons cast long shadows across its azure oceans, a sight that would have been beautiful if not for the dark shapes lurking at the system's edge. The Void Hunters had arrived. Multiple contacts, Araya announced, her artificial voice steady. 17 Hunter-class vessels detected. Energy signatures match previous encounters. Wells nodded grimly. The Defiant task force consisted of just 5 ships, but reinforcements were en route. The question was whether Haven's Rest could hold out long enough for help to arrive. Our allies are in position, Commander Rodriguez reported from his station. The xenopsychologist-turned-tactical officer had spent the journey studying the data from their new Centaurian allies. They're nervous, Captain. Most of these species have never engaged in direct combat before. Then we'll show them how it's done, Wells replied, her voice carrying across the bridge. All ships, battle formations. Remember your training. These monsters may be ancient, but they've grown complacent. They've forgotten what it's like to face prey that fights back. The Void Hunters struck first, their massive ships accelerating with impossible grace for their size. But humanity had learned their patterns, studied their tactics. Where once their approach would have sparked terror, now it revealed weaknesses. Execute Operation Thunderstrike, Wells commanded. The human fleet split apart, each ship moving in what appeared to be random directions. To the Void Hunters, it looked like panic, like prey scattering before the predator. It was exactly what they expected. It was also a trap. Deep within the Defiant's engineering section, Dr. Elena Santos activated the device that had taken Earth's best minds months to perfect. Based on observations of Void Hunter behavior, they had discovered something remarkable. The hunters didn't just track their prey through normal sensors, they followed fear itself. Quantum Emotional Amplifier Online, Santos reported, broadcasting artificial fear signatures at maximum strength. The Void Hunters took the bait, their formations breaking apart as each ship chased what they thought were easy targets. But as they separated, the true genius of humanity's plan became apparent. Now, Wells ordered, hidden behind Haven's Rest's moons, a dozen ships from formerly hidden civilizations emerged, their weapons charged. The Centaurian vessels, elegant crystalline structures that had never fired a shot in anger, now joined Earth's warships in a perfectly coordinated attack. The Void Hunters found themselves caught in a crossfire of their own making. Their greatest strength, their ability to sense and track fear, had become their weakness. The human fleet wasn't broadcasting real fear anymore. They were broadcasting a carefully engineered signal that scattered and confused the hunters' natural abilities. Multiple direct hits, Rodriguez reported, excitement breaking through his professional demeanor. Their coordination is breaking down. They've never encountered this kind of resistance before. The battle raged across the Haven's Rest system, a dance of light and shadow as ancient predators faced the combined might of their former prey. The human ships led the charge, their tactical innovations giving courage to species that had hidden in fear for generations. But the Void Hunters hadn't survived for millennia by being easily defeated. As their initial confusion wore off, they began to adapt, their massive ships regrouping for a counterattack. Enemy vessels are changing formation, Araya warned. They're attempting to establish a psychic link between ships. Our emotional jamming is becoming less effective. Wells had expected this. The Void Hunters were intelligent, capable of learning and adapting. But so were humans, and they had prepared for this moment. Signal the Haven's Rest Defense Force, she ordered. Tell them to activate the gravity wells now. The planet's newly installed planetary defense system came online, creating localized distortions in space-time. The technology was experimental, developed through collaboration between human scientists and Centaurian theorists. Its effect on the battlefield was immediate and devastating. The Void Hunters' perfect formation collapsed as their ships struggled against the artificial gravity fields. For the first time in their long history of hunting, they found themselves being herded, forced into positions of vulnerability by prey that had learned to turn space itself into a weapon. All ships, execute attack pattern Delta, Wells commanded. Show them what happens when the galaxy learns to fight back. The combined fleet moved as one, each species contributing their unique strengths to the assault. Human tactical brilliance, Centaurian precision, and the desperate courage of a dozen other races converged on the trapped Void Hunters. As the battle reached its climax, Wells couldn't help but feel a sense of historic weight. This wasn't just about saving Haven's Rest anymore. This was the moment when the galaxy's balance of power shifted, when the Hunters learned what it meant to become the hunted. But victory would come at a price. As the Void Hunters realized they faced real defeat for the first time, their tactics became more desperate, more vicious. The true test of this newfound alliance was about to begin. Victory at Haven's Rest came at a terrible cost. As the combined fleet regrouped in the aftermath of battle, Dr. Elena Santos discovered something in the quantum emotional amplifier's readings that changed everything. The Void Hunters hadn't just been hunting. They had been searching for something specific. These patterns can't be natural, Santos explained to Captain Wells, her hands moving rapidly over the holographic display. The Hunters aren't just predators. They're following a program, a set of instructions encoded into their very nature. The revelation sent shockwaves through the Alliance. In the Defiance conference room, representatives from a dozen species gathered to confront an uncomfortable truth. Valen's translucent form shimmered with distress as they shared ancient records that had been overlooked for centuries. The Void Hunters were created, the Centaurian administrator explained. Our oldest archives hint at a civilization that existed before all others, one that seeded the galaxy with life. But something went wrong. The Hunters were meant to be guardians, not destroyers. Commander Rodriguez studied the data with growing concern. They're not hunting randomly. They're targeting specific developmental markers. Every civilization they've destroyed was approaching a particular technological threshold. Admiral Chen's voice came through the quantum comm, her image flickering with interference. The question is, who corrupted them? And why do they want to prevent civilizations from reaching that level of advancement? The answer came from an unexpected source. Araya, the Defiance AI, had been analyzing communications patterns across the battle. Captain, I've detected anomalous signals within our own fleet. Someone has been transmitting our tactical data directly to the Void Hunters. The betrayal cut deep. Someone within the Alliance was working with humanity's ancient enemies. But the truth was even more disturbing than simple treachery. Dr. Santos cross-referenced the signal patterns with historical data. These transmissions, they're using the same base code as the Void Hunters themselves. Whoever corrupted the Hunters millions of years ago is still active, still working to keep the galaxy's civilizations from advancing too far. Captain Wells faced a command decision that would echo across history. The fleet had won a crucial victory, but now they knew it was just one battle in a war that had been raging since before humanity's ancestors left the seas. We need to find the source of these transmissions, Wells ordered. But we can't let anyone know we're looking. If our enemy has agents in the fleet, we need them to think they're still hidden. The hunt for the traitor became a deadly game of shadows. As the Alliance celebrated their victory, a small team worked in secret to uncover the truth. Lieutenant Commander Rodriguez used his knowledge of synapsych to analyze behavioral patterns, while Dr. Santos developed new ways to track the mysterious signals. The breakthrough came from Haven's Rest itself. The planet's scientists, grateful for their rescue, shared data about unusual energy readings they detected in their system years before achieving FTL travel. Similar signatures appeared in the histories of other worlds the Void Hunters had attacked. It's not just one traitor, Rodriguez realized. There's an entire hidden network monitoring developing civilizations, marking them for destruction when they get too close to discovering the truth. The evidence pointed to something impossible, a parasitic intelligence that had embedded itself in the galaxy's information networks, manipulating species against each other for millions of years. The Void Hunters weren't just weapons. They were tools in a grand scheme to keep the galaxy's civilizations divided and controlled. Admiral Chen called an emergency meeting of Earth's Defense Council. This changes everything. We're not just fighting for survival anymore. We're fighting for the right of every species to determine their own destiny. But the hidden enemy struck before humanity could reveal their discovery. Across the Alliance, key systems began to fail. Ships lost power, communications went dark, and carefully laid plans crumbled into chaos. The corrupt signal had wormed its way deeper into their networks than anyone had suspected. As the Defiant's own systems began to show signs of compromise, Captain Wells made a decision that would either save the Alliance or doom it completely. The enemy had spent millions of years perfecting the art of division and fear. Now it was time to show them humanity's greatest strength, our ability to unite against impossible odds. All ships, purge your networks, she ordered. We're going dark. From now on, we fight without advanced computing, without quantum communications, without anything our enemy can use against us. We'll show them what humans can do with nothing but courage and determination. The galaxy was about to witness something unprecedented. A fleet of advanced starships being commanded through nothing more sophisticated than radio waves and human intuition. It was either brilliance or madness, but it was exactly the kind of unconventional thinking that had kept humanity alive against the Void Hunters. The true war for the galaxy's future was about to begin, and its outcome would depend not on technology or firepower, but on the indomitable human spirit that had brought hope to 1,000 worlds. The Defiant drifted through the darkness of space, running on minimal power. Captain Diana Wells stood on her silent bridge, illuminated only by emergency lighting. Around her ship, the combined fleet of a dozen species maintained their formation using nothing more sophisticated than visual signals and radio waves. Like sailing ships on an ancient sea, Wells mused, watching distant light patterns flash between vessels. Humanity had been forced to abandon their advanced technology, but in doing so, they had discovered something profound. They weren't fighting alone anymore. Dr. Santos worked tirelessly in engineering, coordinating with alien scientists to track the corrupt signal to its source. Without their quantum computers, they relied on mathematical principles so basic they predated space travel. Yet somehow, this primitive approach revealed patterns their advanced systems had missed. The signal's not coming from anywhere in normal space, Santos reported, her voice filled with wonder. It's emanating from a fold in subspace, a hidden pocket of reality that's existed since the dawn of the galaxy. The revelation sparked a memory in Valen's vast knowledge of ancient records. The first ones, the Centaurian administrator whispered, their bioluminescence pulsing with excitement. They didn't vanish. They retreated to a realm beyond our perception. But Commander Rodriguez saw the darker truth. They didn't just retreat. They set up a system to keep everyone else from following them. The Void Hunters, the corrupt signals, the targeted destruction of advancing civilizations. It was all designed to keep the galaxy's species trapped in their own limitations. Admiral Chen's voice crackled through the basic radio. Then it's time we broke those limitations. Captain Wells, your fleet has demonstrated something the first ones never expected. That different species could work together, could trust each other even after their technology was stripped away. The plan they devised was audacious. The combined fleet would use Haven's Rest's experimental gravity wells to tear open the subspace pocket, exposing the first one's hidden realm. But success would require something unprecedented, a telepathic link between all species in the fleet, sharing not just thoughts, but the very essence of their determination. The first ones based their control on fear and isolation. Wells addressed the fleet. They never imagined that their lesser creations could unite like this. They never understood that true strength comes not from technology, but from standing together. As the fleet moved into position, Dr. Santos made one final modification to the quantum emotional amplifier. Instead of broadcasting fear, it would amplify something the first ones had never encountered: hope, unity, and the unshakable human spirit that had inspired a galaxy to rise up. The battle that followed would be remembered for generations. The Void Hunters emerged in force, their ships darkening the stars. But this time, they faced something entirely new. The combined fleet moved as one, each species contributing their unique perspectives and abilities to a shared consciousness that transcended individual limitations. Through their telepathic link, humans shared their tactical insights and indomitable will. The Centaurians contributed their vast knowledge and precision. Other species added their own strengths: spatial awareness, intuitive physics, even abilities humans had never imagined possible. The first ones fought back, their advanced technology warping reality itself. But they couldn't comprehend what they were facing. Their entire system of control had been based on keeping species separate, afraid, and distrustful. The sight of their created races united against them was beyond their understanding. Captain Wells felt the combined consciousness of the fleet flow through her as she gave the final order. All ships, commence Operation Unity. Show them what the galaxy's children have become. The gravity wells activated, their power amplified by the combined mental energy of the fleet. Space itself tore open, revealing the hidden realm of the first ones. For the first time in millions of years, the ancient manipulators were exposed to the light of the stars they had abandoned. The Void Hunters, finally freed from their corrupted programming, turned on their former masters. The first one's realm collapsed in on itself, taking with it the beings who had sacrificed the galaxy's freedom for their own security. In the aftermath, as ship systems slowly came back online, the Alliance faced a new dawn. The age of fear was over. The galaxy's species were free to develop, to grow, to reach for the stars without the shadow of the hunters looming over them. Admiral Chen's words to the Earth Defense Council would be recorded in 1,000 histories. We went into space looking for advanced civilizations to guide us. Instead, we became the guides, not because we were stronger or more advanced, but because we showed the galaxy that the greatest power isn't technology or weapons. It's the ability to trust, to unite, and to face the darkness together. The Defiant returned to Earth as a symbol of this new age. Captain Wells stood at her viewport one last time, watching the combined fleet disperse to their homeworlds. Each ship carried with it a piece of humanity's legacy, the knowledge that no species had to face the darkness alone. In the centuries that followed, the galaxy would flourish as never before. The first one's barriers to advancement crumbled, allowing civilizations to grow and develop naturally. And at the heart of this golden age was the lesson humanity had taught the stars: that true strength lies not in the power to destroy, but in the courage to unite, to hope, and to forge a future that belongs to all.